Hi everyone, welcome to Top Shelf Tuesday. On this edition, we will be discussing Audemars Piguet, Rolex, Vacheron, Constantin, and the theme is going to be, I need a vacation, so I need to bring one watch with me. And I've brought three really nice choices. So what I'd like for my audience members to do is, and how's everybody going? I see CQ, Mike, Eddie, Don, David, Edward, Val Belize, Andrew. What's up, guys? But I'd like all of you, everybody out there, to basically give me their top three choices in order of what you would wear. So today I'm alone, as you can tell. There's nobody with me. I just have three of my friends, which we're going to get into in a little bit. And the choices that I made today were pieces that I thought to wear that I wouldn't have to take off. Basically, one watch for 1 week of vacation. So without further ado, let's get into the hardware. A la Tim. The first brand that I'd like to talk about is Vacheron Constantin, and it's the Overseas Chronograph. Reference 550V/110A-B148. This watch retails for $29,300. As many of you are aware, Vacheron Constantin was founded back in 1755. It is the world's oldest watch manufacturer in continuous operation, and it's also part of the Holy Trinity. So today you're going to see two out of the three brands that are in that trinity, which is Audemars Piguet, Vacheron Constantin, and Patek Philippe. So let's get into watch number one. What would Claudio buy if he were going on vacation? So here we have this beautiful blue dial, which kind of reminds me of the sea. It's the Vacheron Constantin, as I said, overseas, stainless steel, blue dial. And today I'm going to say the dial actually reflects what the color really looks like. I mean, this is one of the prettiest dials that I've seen in a while. And going strong in the theme of blue this year, I found this wonderful Vacheron overseas. The watch is 42.5 millimeters. It's 13.7 millimeters thick. The bracelet is brushed and has a high polish. It's also a double deployant. So there it is. I've left the plastic on it just because I don't want to harm the actual bracelet itself or get my fingerprints on it, even though I'm wearing gloves like many of you have suggested. It's the caliber 5200. It's an automatic caliber, of course. It's the Poinçon de Genève, also aka Geneva seal. It has 263 individual parts, 52-hour power reserve, which is good. It just means that, you know, if I put it down for a couple hours, it's still going to be fully wound. This is a 3-counter column wheel chronograph with the date at between 4 and 5, which you can see right there. And of course, in Claudio fashion, today's the 7th, although it's not the 7th. You've got the screw-down crown and pushers, so that kind of helps it maintain its water resistance, which is 150 meters or 500 feet. It also has anti-magnetic protection, and let's talk a little bit about the back of the watch, which we all love. You have a 22-carat rotor back there, and the piece is actually has some really nice nautical-themed compass on the design of the rotor. So a nice, fancy little touch. And of course, the overseas, when you're thinking about the overseas, this was actually brought back in 2016. So the nautical theme, which is in line with my theme today. Another unbelievable option is this quick release bracelet. I'm going to quickly show you how you can change your bracelet, of course, as I'm trying to do it live. Doesn't seem to, oh, there it is. It's a lot easier to do when you're not under the pressure of the bright lights. Oh, there it is. Now, one of my favorite options on this watch is it comes with a black crocodile strap. It also comes with a blue crocodile and black rubber strap. So you're getting 3 watches in one watch. So I like that because, you know, I want to wear the bracelet, but what if I'm in the sand and I don't want the sand to get in the crevices of the bracelet or scratch the bracelet, so I could put the rubber on, but it also gives me the opportunity to have 3 different looks. All right, so there it is. Once again, that beautiful blue dial. It's the Vacheron Constantin Overseas. This is watch number 1. Now let's get into watch number 2. Number 2 in the part of the Holy Trinity, which is the, oh, there you go. David said for top shelf for a week, 1 AP Royal Oak Offshore Diver, 2 Patek Nautilus, 3 JLC Master Extreme Lab. Good picks, David. Now for number 2, I'm going with the, and you've seen this before, I'm definitely a big fan of Audemars Piguet. And this is the Royal Oak Chronograph Offshore. I'm not going to rattle off the numbers because I don't think that's important. But basically, this is a white dial chrono with date. It has the Mega Tapisserie. One of the options that I really love about this particular timepiece, if I could just get that angle right, there it is. You've got the black counters. Why can't I do that? There it is. You've got the black sub counters and also just some accents of black around the dial itself. So it has a nice little differentiation and different look when you're looking at this piece. They started doing these types of dials back in 2012. This is a 41mm case. It's the bracelet is one of my favorite bracelets, brushed and high polish. It has the AP engraved double deployant. So just like the Vacheron, it has a double deployant clasp with that AP logo on it. I've left the plastic on this as well, so if you see some blue highlights, that's just the protection. This is a brand new watch. It also has the screw down. Actually, that's not screw down, sorry. The screw down doesn't no longer exist on this. It's actually just, you don't have to screw down the pusher, just the crown. The sapphire crystal on the front of the watch, it's a closed back, so you don't have that exhibition back. So some of you people who really like to see the movement of the watch, well, you're not going to get this with Audemars Piguet. But essentially, this is, you know, this is a classic piece. This is a piece that I would definitely wear. The only part is it's got the white and black dial, so you know you're kind of like stuck wearing white or black versus that blue dial. From the Overseas that I showed you before. The watch retails for $24,300, so you're getting a little bit of a better deal than the Vacheron Constantin. And I mean, what more else can I say? It's a beautiful watch. So this is my pick number 2. The Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Chronograph, $24,300. Now, pick number 3. So last week, many of you know that I was at the Rolex training in New York, so I want to thank everybody for a wonderful training. It basically reminds me why Rolex is at the top of their game. I mean, everything that they did from the trainer Sal to you know, to dinner, to everything that they did, to the tour of their Long Island City facility. Tim and I have been discussing to maybe do a show about that, but I just wanted to get some clearance with Rolex before we start unveiling some of their secrets. However, after going to that training, there was a lot of information that I learned, and which is why I went with watch number 3, the Unicorn. So watch number 3 is Rolex Oyster Perpetual Cosmograph Daytona. Reference number 116500LN. This timepiece retails for $12,400 new, but many of us know that there's no way you're going to find this watch on the market, and especially at that price. There's some interesting stories about this piece and why it was started. Back in 1963, Malcolm Campbell, he broke the land speed record by racing a car going over 300 miles per hour on Daytona Beach. Actually, that was in 1935. So in 1963, Daytona, as a tribute to that record, came out with the Daytona, where you can basically time and speed as well as counters for racing. So that's where the chronograph functions come in. This does not have a date, which is fine. However, I have to say, I'm definitely leaning towards this piece for many reasons. Number one, it's the only waterproof watch in the United States. So it's the only brand that can say 100% of their watches are waterproof. This is waterproof up to 100 meters. Let's talk a little bit about the watch case. So it's a 40mm case. Just trying to see if you guys are keeping, there it is. It's a 40mm monoblock case. You have the screw down crown and case back. It doesn't have a sapphire crystal on the back, but on the front it does. And one of the reasons it doesn't have a sapphire crystal on the back is basically that just keeps it from being, that keeps it waterproofed. The steel that it uses is a 904L steel, which came out back in 1985 for the Submariner. They use 904L steel in aerospace and chemical industries because it's resistant to corrosion. And in 2000, the Daytona was the first model that you see here, which actually used 904L for the case as well as the bracelet. It is an oyster bracelet, which was introduced in the late 30s by Mr. Wildorf himself. I'm trying to get my face out of the shot. Hold it down, yeah. There you go. Oh, there's my tie. Hi, everybody. So this is the Daytona, like I said, with the oyster bracelet, came out with in the 1930s. You have the movement, which is the 4130, in-house Rolex movement, COSC, and superlative chronometer. So this watch just means it's almost as accurate, if not even more accurate than a tourbillon. Why? Because it only has about 2 seconds of deviations per day, which is very interesting. So in terms of value, what are you getting here? You're getting a watch which is super iconic. It retails for $12,400, like I said, if you could find it, and is as accurate or even more accurate or just about as accurate as a digital clock. The Paracomb hairspring, which is 10 times resistant to shocks and paramagnetic. It's also very stable in temperature changes. So if I'm going from the freezer to the beach, no problem there. It'll still keep accuracy, and also in all positions. So if I'm swimming, I really don't have to worry about the watch being, you know, getting hurt, let's say, due to the conditions. So as I said, I brought 3 watches, and the Rolex Daytona was one of the pieces that I really liked and I was leaning towards, and it brought to another viewer by the name of Jeffrey Camacho. How are you doing, Jeffrey, if you're watching? You once mentioned you'd like to know which watch would you take if you were, let's say, traveling out of the country, and I know you were just in Africa, and you needed some liquidity. Well, I don't think too many people out there around the world are going to know the overseas or the AP, or maybe they do, but I don't know if they'll be as quick to give you money. So if you were in a quick bind and you needed some cash, I think this is definitely the brand and the watch that you'd want to have on your wrist. Maybe you run into some police and you needed to get out of trouble, so you know, you slip them your Rolex and get out of jail free card. So as I said, 3 watches, 1, 2, 3. I'd love to hear what your choices are. Once again, it's a Vacheron Overseas Chronograph blue dial, the AP Royal Oak Offshore white dial, was the Panda dial, and the Rolex Daytona with the black dial and the Serichrome bezel. So Watch Yoda, my man, how are you? Your 3 top shelf vacation watches are the Panerai Bronzo blue dial to go swimming, the Vacheron Overseas Generation 2 Chrono black dial for sport daily wear, and of course, one of the house favorites, FP Journe Chronomètre Blue. Good choice. I like it. And that's basically it. So I'd like for all of you to chime in. Wristwatch check. Okay, Edward, thank you for asking me because I wanted to segue into this. Before I get into that, I want to talk about two very iconic guys. Number one, Paul Newman, and everybody knows that Paul Newman's watch was just found and it's going up for auction. And one of the big discussions out there is what is it going to fetch for? And some say 5 million, 10 million, 15 million, who knows? Maybe somebody out there is willing to pay 100 million for it. But so I want to segue into another legend and another icon, and I'm wearing my Roger Dubuis today in honor of Mr. Roger Dubuis, who just passed away on Saturday after 80 wonderful years on this planet. I had the pleasure of working for this company and this man for several years now. He was definitely the godfather of for all of us. He was one of the sweetest, gentlest, nicest guys that I've ever met. And the last time I saw him was in Geneva. And unfortunately, I never had the heart to tell him that I was leaving. But Mr. Dubuis, your legacy lives on. And what I'd like to ask for everybody out there, anybody that owns a Roger Dubuis, please put your watch on and wear it tomorrow in honor of one of the greatest living watchmakers who just passed away, and honor him tomorrow by wearing your watch. It would make him, his family, and all the people in Geneva so happy and so proud to know that he's touched so many people. So on that note, and before we get into a little tribute montage that I made for him, I want to remind everybody that right after this show, we have on our watch review channel with Tim, we're going to have some giveaways. So please, right after this show, stay tuned. Mr. Dubuis, you'll be sorely missed. And it was an honor and a pleasure working for you, and I will make sure that your legacy lives on forever. Merci beaucoup et reposez en paix.